Hi y'all. Amy wanted me to do a walk around with the KRX since we got it. It's a 2023 KRX Teryx Trail Edition. We bought it back in February of this year. It comes with rock sliders, bead locks, front bumper and winch, roof, and a rear bumper. We came from a 2018 CanAm X3. We had it for about just a little over 4 years. We put about a little shy of 9,300 miles on it. It was a big difference coming from an X3 to this. My goal today is to kind of show you what this has, what we've put on it, and some of the likes and dislikes between the two different models. The one thing I had the dealership add was the Kawasaki full windshield. I wanted this one because it was a full view and it wasn't restricted by the sides or anything. I also had them add a windshield wiper, which has a washer. The washer reservoir is over here. I had them add the extended fender flares, front and rear. Huge difference, huge difference. We did not have any fender flares on the X3, and that was a downfall on our part because the X3 would get you dirty instantly. We can ride in this thing all day. I barely get mud on me at all. From there, I added a stereo system. I did the SSV Works stereo, which is a plug and play. This is the head unit. That is the equalizer. And these are the kicker speakers and the rears. And a 10-inch sub. I also had the dealership add heating. Very nice. It has vents here, here, and footwell ones. We did not have anything like that on the X3, and we greatly enjoyed in this thing. I also added a rough country light bar. I went with a little more top end and high, or a little more expensive. It has 16,000 lumens. It lights it up, and as a single row it is super bright. Future plan would be to hopefully add an amber light somewhere, and my goal is probably up here, I believe. I just got to find one that will fit in that space. It does already have notches. The other thing that I have learned is to use the Yeti straps. I've tried the cheap ones and all the other ones, they all come loose. These Yeti straps never come loose, ever. I did add these whips. They're just some Amazon ones, real simple. Looks like it is about the end of May. We currently have about 1,300 miles on this unit. Quite a bit in just a few months. We do a lot of riding for sure. When we bought our CanAm X3, it was a 2018 X3 XDS. It basically came with a high-end suspension and high horsepower, which was 172 at that time, and that was it. We paid almost 23,000 for it. From there, we had to put a roof on and rock sliders and bumpers and all the accessories. We paid 22 something for this model that came with all that. Big difference between CanAm and this right there is you get a lot more bang for your buck with the KRX for sure, especially with this model. So overall, with the KRX in comparison to the X3, the KRX, I feel like you get more bang for your buck. I feel like it is a lot more thought out as a side-by-side. It has metal footwells. That way if a branch or anything comes up, it's going to hit that and not come through the plastic. There's a lot of little things about the KRX that I've noticed that is very thought out to add things. One of the really simple things is they got little holes up here that you can run your wiring down through. Unfortunately, I bought the light bar with the biggest plug-in, so I was unable to do that, but it does have it on both sides. The X3 is honestly not designed to do any add-ons. Nothing. Kind of a shame if you think about it. The overall the durability, the size of the A-arms in this thing is stout. The X3 was smaller on the A-arms for sure. Their ball joints were not as beefy and set up into the housing like this. When we first got our X3, we didn't even have it in the first month. I don't even think we had 50 miles on it, and I had the ball joint fail on it up here, which laid the tire into the whole shock tower set, and then it hit the back wall, and it was catastrophic. It completely destroyed everything instantly with the X3, and we only had, I don't even know if it's 50 miles. May not have been. It's very disappointing. The other thing about the KRX that I really like in comparison to the X3 is the amount of space. There's space behind the seats to have things, space above, space back there. The X3 is really designed to essentially just go fast, and that's it. The X3 was a absolutely fun and awesome machine to go out and run through the trails. Totally capable, would go through anything, climb up anything, had plenty of power. The bad thing about the X3 is it had zero visibility. Zero. You couldn't see behind you, you couldn't see beside you. It had a lot longer nose. Every time you crested a hill, you could see nothing. The KRX is kind of nice because you can actually see everywhere, no matter what, even just looking out the back. I did also add the seismic mirrors. We did have those on the X3. Great brand. They are warranted for life. Doesn't matter what happens. You break the glass, you email them, they'll send you a new one. You drop the glass, before you even put it in, they'll send you a new one. Great company. Highly recommend. The glass is super clear, does not distort anything. Very worth it. I also added some bags up here just for a little more storage. Future storage, might be trying to figure out something back here as far as a bag goes. The one thing I've really enjoyed with the KRX so far is how easy it is to clean it. Everything is very covered and sealed, and when you wash it, everything just comes off. The wrap does not hold dirt. Doesn't really show scratches too bad. The X3 had a lot of open spots, and you would wash one side and then the mud would flow to the other side, and it was just very hard to get it clean and keep it clean. And I've noticed with this one that the plastics doesn't hold the mud, and I don't know what plastics that CanAm uses, but you could, once the mud got on here, it would stay brown as a hue like to it, and you could not get it off. Scrub it, and the plastics honestly just never would look good. You'd have to use some aftermarket stuff to try and shine it up. Pretty impressed with the plastics on this. It cleans very well, looks very well, and is held up very nicely. One of the other things I want to talk about with the KRX that I've greatly enjoyed is the maintenance on it. I changed the front diff fluid. Basically, there's a bolt underneath. You release it. You have this right here. There's plenty of space to take the bottle and fill it up. Same on the rear. You drain it from the bottom and fill it right up. When you change the oil, It is right here, and you have a little sight glass. Super easy. The X3, if you did the front diff, you'd have to finagle with it. You had to get a special hose and squeeze the diff fluid in there. And if anybody's done diff fluid, they know how thick it is, and it doesn't flow through the hose, and it would take a stupid amount of time. I changed the front diff, rear diff, maybe 30 minutes. Change the oil, 15 minutes. Almost just like a vehicle, as it should be. So the overall ability to do the maintenance on this is super easy and cheap. The price of oil to change on this is half of what the Can-Am was, at least half. Overall, with this KRX, I've really enjoyed it. It will go anywhere. It just climbs everything. There's a lot of times I'm like, oh, it's going to hit the bottom, and it just crawls right over it, doesn't touch nothing. I did, when we first got it, I did crank down the tender springs and shocks just about an inch and a half. I think I did an inch in the front, inch and a half in the rear, just to give it a little bit more clearance, but other than that, I have not done anything. Suspension-wise, rides really well. It just has a Fox shocks with a 3-click system. The loudness of the exhaust is a little bit much, but on the flip side, the X3 had a lot of turbo noise, and it was really loud in the cab for the X3, where this is not as loud. It just feels like you're riding in a off-road vehicle with, you know, just engine and exhaust sound. The X3 unfortunately had a very high pitch noise because the air draw for the turbo system is right behind the driver's seat. Kind of a crappy design if you ask me, but it was not designed to go trail riding, it was designed to go dunes. One of the other things I have really enjoyed about the KRX is it comes with a engine brake. The X3s do not have an engine brake. The X3, you would go through a brake pads super fast. These, I haven't even touched them. I would have been through probably 2 sets of brake pads on the X3 for the amount of miles this has at this point. But I have checked them. They're not even slightly close to needing replaced. The engine brake I really do like. The only downside of the engine brake on this is it's very hard and heavy, and the throttle on this is super touchy. So sometimes it feels kind of a little herky-jerky on the trails because it's in and out of either one of those. But the throttle response is really good. And when you're crawling down a big, huge, steep incline, the engine brake is perfect. You put this thing in low, and it just crawls for days. One thing I really like about this is the door handles, both outside and inside. Shut very well, perfect, good height. It's almost kind of like being a little truck, basically. Very well designed and thought out. Really like it, really like it. The X3 had suicide doors, I call them. So when you opened it, it opened this way, where these are just more like a truck style. Took a little getting used to though. So we added the stereo. I did the SSV Works plug and play system. It's pretty new. Basically this is the actual stereo with your volume control, and then this would be the equalizer. It has a ride mode and a rock mode. The ride's for when you're going down the road. It changes the tones to accommodate for the vehicle itself. Each one of their systems is specifically designed for the unit and the sound of the engine and the exhaust that it currently has. And there's a big difference between ride and rock. Rock would be if you're just hanging out and just letting it go. I don't know that I would. I'd probably run the battery down because I'm only running one battery. The whole unit for the amplifier and everything is up behind the dash. It comes with, I did the unit, the first part of what we did is with the, basically just the kicker speakers and the pods and the footwells. Worked really well. Not quite enough clarity, so from there we went ahead and added the 8-inch kicker rear pods, and that really stepped it up a notch. The main reason I went with this particular system in comparison to the one in the X3 is everything with this is designed and set up for moisture and outdoors. All the plugs are sealed. The one we had in the X3, which was a really good sounding system, was not a marine grade. The first part of that system, when I first put it in, it eventually fell apart simply just due to the water and mud corroding everything, and it broke down the wires, and just it became a big deal. So I was very excited about this system because it was designed for off-roading very specifically. One other thing, and it's going to sound really crazy and stupid, but I highly enjoy the armrest because you can just drive just like a regular vehicle and put your arms on the door. I know it sounds crazy, but that's very a cool little design and feature for this thing. I really like the headlights on this. They're super bright at night. The light bar absolutely sets it off at night. I think these have a really cool design on them. Even just as simple as just the running light gives it a good solid aggressive stance. Runs super smooth. Exhaust, a little loud. Could be just a little bit quieter maybe, but then it wouldn't sound as aggressive. I feel like this has a really good tone to it going down the road. Sometimes the X3 with their exhaust, it almost sounds like you're driving a snowmobile. The other day we did just finally hit a tree branch and I lost the hubcap, unfortunately. Not bad out of 1,300 miles. Light bar is pretty darn bright. I'm a big fan of the single row lights compared to the other ones. I think they just look a lot slicker. I'm not a big fan of these mounts, but with this year, they changed the roof design, and the only way to mount it is to come up underneath it. This puts it up a little too high, which does kind of give it some whistle when you're going down the road. I've thought about maybe drilling holes and trying to lower it and doing something with that, but we'll see. As far as the dash layout, very nice and easy to read. Time, temperature, fuel, if you're in 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, power. It has a switch down here that you can switch from low power to high power or full power. I haven't really messed with it very much. One thing I really like is it has the belt temp gauge. That's nice to know and watch as you're going down the road for long periods of time. If it starts to click up, I'll be really honest, I've only ever seen it at 1 bar. One time it hit 2. I think we were doing some pretty good hill climbs for quite a while, and that was the only reason it really set it off. Another nice feature I like about the KRX is that it actually has a parking brake. The X3 did not have a parking brake. You basically had to rely on, when you put it into park. This is a neutral and then your gears and use the parking brake. The X3, we ended up having issues with their parking brake system that's inside internally. It fell apart and failed, which cost us a lot of money to get fixed. This does come with the 31-inch carnivores, 15-inch rims, speed locks. Carnivore tires are pretty new to me. I've never really had them on anything. They are kind of a soft compound tire. Sometimes going down the roads it feels a little squishy. I've definitely had issues with them losing air, not only on this buggy but our other buggy, the R-Max. I don't know if it's because we do a lot of rock and trail riding. Maybe the rocks are, you know, poking between the treads too much. Our X3, we had X comps on it, never had an issue, never had to check the air pressure. I think we got 6,500 miles out of them. They weren't dead, but they were getting pretty low. Them tires were solid, 10 ply, DOT rated, absolutely my favorite tire, super smooth. The Carnivores, very good on the trails, but on the highway, pretty loud, not very stable in my opinion. If these are all you've ever ran, you'd probably never know, but the Carnivores are okay. I don't know that I would go out of my way to buy them. They just simply come with this model. I also have them on the R-Max all too, but in the overall, they're an okay tire, but they're wearing fairly well for 1,300 miles. Might be able to get another 1,000 out of them, I'm guessing, before they're too low. And ending with all this, having gone with the Kawasaki versus another X3. We had looked at X3s, but in this area they were not available and super high priced. We felt with this that we've got a lot more accessories and more machine for the amount of money that it was. We paid a little over 22 for this. An X3 we were looking at probably 30 just to start. The X3 would not have come with a roof. It would not have come with a lot of things, which we would have added. The Kawasaki came with all that. I feel as if it was more bang for the buck. Overall, great machine. I really like it. It's easy to take care of. We've had no issues with it for 1,300 miles. Cleans up well, rides well, has more space. I'd say in the overall, it's a really good machine. I can't wait to see in the future adding more miles to it, how it does. The X3 was a really good machine. It did have a lot of issues. We had a lot of major components break on it inside the clutching system. We had final gear issues inside the transmission that led us to not only spending a lot of money on it, but in the overall we were unable to ride. So far this buggy has given us no issues for the amount of miles. Same amount of miles on the X3. We had final gear issues, failed ball joint, and a couple of little minor things. Belt breaking. So far this thing has not had anything. I really like it. I'm a big fan of the X3s, but so far I'm very impressed with this KRX and really enjoy it. And I can't wait to see where it leads us in the future and making memories. As always, if you like our videos, please like, subscribe, continue watching. We appreciate it. We just love to off-road and have fun. Always an adventure.